welcome, ladies and gentle folks. Mr. H here. We're talking Zipledata. I'm sure loads of people thought we'd never talk about this again, but we're talking about it today. Why? Because Fred Dekker, one of the people absolutely influential on this film, one of the writers of the film, collaborator, in fact, with none other than Shane Black. He has come out and revealed some snippets of information. Now, I actually revealed a lot of this information even before the movie was released. A lot of people still didn't believe me at that point in time. That's fine. They started to believe me a little bit more when it was released, but this is now from the horse's mouth. You can then, if you don't believe me, you can now go and double check it, all and that kind of shit. But I had the leaked script that dropped about this film, so that's why I revealed some of the info. Now, what can we take home from The Predator? The script leaked. The script was bad. It was. And then as a result of that, they went back for massive reshoots. Not unlike what they're doing with respect to Terminator Dark Fate. Now, I still think The Terminator is an entertaining... The Predator is an entertaining film. I don't think it's a good film, but I was entertained nonetheless. It's switch off, and it's definitely not a candle to the first one. But basically, what he had to say, which is quite revealing actually, I don't know why he's revealing as much as he is. Now, if we just move my big old face out of the way, there we go. I'm a little bit drunk at the moment, guys. Apologies. But basically, he says they asked. This is on moviephone.com, so you can go check this website out for yourself. It's a normal website. Support the journalist. It's fine. So they say, can we talk about what happened with the Predator? We've seen set photos of good guy predators driving armoured cars, and you've alluded on your Facebook page to it not being the movie you and Shane wanted. Can you talk about that? Now, interestingly enough, back when those things had initially been leaked, there were some photos. A lot of people were like, this is bollocks, what are you talking about? And I said, no, this is legit, because it lines up with the leaked script. It's legit. It's legit. I told you then, and I'll tell you now. Now, he reveals a lot. I mean, that's a lot, right? So he says, sure, I think we were halfway through the shoot. We had devised the sequence which I confessed was my idea, which was essentially our heroes have to get from point A to B, and they commandeer military convoy. And at that point in the film, we had established a pair of Predator emissaries, basically good guy predators. Now, for background, those guys stayed with the military in captivity, and they were allowed out at night for hunting. Bit lame. So that's the background of them. What was interesting to Shane, and I was to ask a question that nobody to give a shit about, which is, what do predators do except for hunt? Because they've invented interstellar spacecraft. So they're not stupid. They're not just a bunch of Arkansas rednecks who came to Earth to play the most dangerous game. They actually have a civilization and a culture. And presumably, that's worth exploring, since none of the other movies did it. And I'd agree, that's a great question to ask. Undoubtedly, it's a great question to ask. Probably not in this movie when they then start to talk about global warming. Such a BS narrative. So anyway, he continues and he reveals a lot. Now, in the movie, there's some pods, right, which is influential to the ending of the film. The end credit sequence, we see the pod open up and it's a weapon. Now, in the original script, the original movie, which he's about to discuss here, there's DNA, and the Kajar, the little mechanical thing which the Predator steals, is the DNA sequencer. So that's why there was some looming music to those pod shots, because it wasn't supposed to be a weapon. It was supposed to be mutated Predator hybrid creatures. And he says that here, basically. So our idea was that their planet is dying, and they've decided to take what previously was explored, which is to dope up creatures with the DNA of other creatures of predators from alien worlds and create new targets for their hunt. But now they've realised, well, hey, we need maybe to upgrade ourselves just to survive. And then they go to themselves, well, hey, Earth is warming up. We like a warm environment. Maybe we should move in. Can you imagine predators talking like this to one another? Well, hey, buddy. Fuck me. So the premise of the movie is that in the third act was these two predators come aboard the ship and everybody's freaking out, and the predators actually want to communicate. They want to say, hey, we've got a problem. You have a problem? Maybe we should team up. Terrible. This actually happened in the second act, by the way, and they didn't come on a ship. They were found in an army base. So again, he's not revealing it all, but it's there. You can find actually this script, I think it's on avpgalaxy.net, so check it out if you want. So they continue. So that whole convoy was trying to get the emissaries to the ship to get away, and they were going to be chased by the upgrade, who we meet in the finished version of the movie, and B, and this was a huge change from our initial premise, is that at the beginning of the movie we see the first predator that shows up in the movie. He leaves the ship, and we push in on this container in the ship, and what they ended up with was the terrible ending that I have nothing to do with. Shane didn't write it either. That was sort of someone decided it was a good idea. Some dumbass at Fox decided that was a good idea. You're terrible. So he says, there's something on the ship, which is these creatures. Well, originally there was a whole bunch of these on the ship, a whole bunch of those in the ship, and what those were the gestating hybrids. There you go. Again, I said all of this before the movie came out. No one believed me. Essentially, what they were nurturing and growing in these pods with the hybrids of the predator DNA mixed with the DNA of creatures from all over the galaxy that would enable them to basically eradicate mankind so that they could populate it themselves. So that's basically what happened. Now, the convoy chase, the idea was that it would be all of our heroes on these badass big military vehicles, which we see in those leaked set photos. And the upgrade releases the hybrids and chases them, and the hybrids jump onto the convoy. And it's a big rootin', tootin', fantastic action sequence. Bang, 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 blah, 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 blah. Now, Shane storyboarded it, and we had a previs and animatics, and it was, I think, a really cool idea. At some point or another, the studio, I think, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone in particular, but there were these misgivings that were straying too far from what people expected the movie to be. No, it's because the whole script leaked. And they know it as well, because I had emails from Fox asking me to take videos down. So, no, it was because some dumbass who wrote the script, only two people, let it circulate. You and Shane Black. And so we sat down and went, I guess we need to do a hunt, and it needs to be at night so it's scarier. So we ended up going in that direction, which I don't think served us because it didn't top anything we'd seen before. Blah, blah, blah. Now, I said this, again, before the movie was released about Arnold Schwarzenegger turning up. No one believed it, but again, here he says, how close did you come to getting Arnold Schwarzenegger to come back? It was bad, bad, bad. I think personally, and I argued again, I was not a producer on this movie, so I could just say things and people will all nod and shake their heads. I believe the convoy chase, had we done it, and had we done it at night, would have been something that had never been seen before in a movie. Whether you think it's a Predator movie or not, it's up to you, but I thought it would have been cool. And the other thing I said is, we have to have Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie, which I think, why not? Wouldn't have been a bad idea to have him back. Have him as an aged Dutch Schaefer, you know, why not? Because like it or not, one of the masterstrokes of The Force Awakens is that ending. Because even though Luke doesn't do anything except turn around and have a beard, it touches that little nostalgia button in you and you go, oh cool. And then you go to the credits and there's no way that movie's not going to be a big hit, even though there's not a single original thing in it. I'm glad he acknowledges that. All it is just Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back combined, and you switch it around a little bit and you change characters. But there's not a single moment in that movie where I go, oh, that's an interesting, cool thing. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, he's bitching about other movies. So basically he says, Fred called me back. Fred called me back later that day to clarify the potential Arnold Schwarzenegger cameo at the end of the film. And this is what he said. We very much wanted him to be in the film, but what we had written was a cameo. He just turns up at the end. And he says, he decided it wasn't enough of a role and nobody was willing to put money on the possibility of a sequel. Now that is something which we know about because Arnold Schwarzenegger did actually come out and state this as fact. It's there, you can Google it. And he says, he would have said, come with me if you want to live. He would have turned up at the end of the film after the killing of the upgrade Predator. Would have come out of a helicopter, turned to everyone and said, hey, I'm Colonel Dutch Schaefer, come with me if you want to live. And they all would have said yeah. And the kid turns to him. This is in the script. The kid turns to him and says, even me? And he points to the kid. And he says, even you. And then we roll credits. Fuck it. Shane had a talk with Arnold, but at the end of the day, the sequel wasn't a done deal. And this is really not a lot of screen time for Arnold to go and fly to Canada and do a half day. I agree. I also asked for him to clarify what he and Shane had to do with the ending that actually made it to the movie. We shot it. I wrote that very last line, but I wasn't happy about it. So he had a little bit more to say. And they also shot some absolute nonsense with respect to Ripley and Newt turning up and all this kind of just total crap. So there you go. That is what happened with The Predator. An entertaining movie, but garbage nonetheless. What do you think? Let me know. This is studio interference at its finest. But I thought I'd bring you this news. I'd love to hear your thoughts. This is from one of the writers themselves. Again, you can find this script over on avpgalaxy.net. I believe it's there because they've released it now post-movie and all that nonsense. So you can find it. Not lying, it's all there. Anyway, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below. If you're new here, hit subscribe. You can stay up to date on this and the world of pop culture and movie news. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. I've been Mr. H. Take care.